Hi, everyone. Just getting myself set up here to see everything. Go ahead and uh, give me if you're here, just let me know you're here in the comments or the chat. I have the Facebook video up so I can see your comments today. I'm hoping that that's going to work. And I also have the StreamYard YouTube ability to see the YouTube chats. So welcome. Today's topic is about how to heal relationship conflict. And wow, this is going to be extremely distracting because the lag time is creating something really interesting here. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right, good. I'm just going to have to deal with it. It looks like I actually got locked up on Facebook. Oh, okay. There we go. All right. So today's topic. Oh, by the way, happy Monday, everyone. I am experimenting with going live on Monday mornings, and our theme right now is around healing and relationships. So today's topic is about how to heal relationship conflict. The reason that I want to talk about this or share some things with you about healing and relationships is because around me, I'd love to know what's happening in your world. Around me, there are a lot of people who are dealing with some form of relationship conflict. So it's not, I'm not surprised because we've been through this whole pandemic, lockdown, restricted movement, working from home scenario since the late winter. And I think that a lot of people are discovering or unable to ignore some of the things that maybe they've been ignoring. And if this is your case, I'd love to know what your experience is. So it's kind of brought things up to a head, right? And along with that, those of us who are on the spiritual path, who are really wanting to evolve our consciousness and to get into the so-called 5D consciousness. If you're not familiar with that, there's plenty on YouTube about it, so go for it. But I think you kind of get the feel of what I'm talking about. You know, that amidst all this chaos, there is this opportunity to get a broader perspective, to see from the perspective of your higher mind, to kind of evolve your consciousness so you're not mired down in the conflict of what is often called 3D, right? The nuts and bolts, uh, physical manifestation of, in this case, how we come together in relationships and where those conflicts are. And, you know, that's the realm of money and, the day-to-day dealing with what's going on in your home, your physical possessions, your life in general as you live it in your human body. So I'm not surprised that many people, and maybe some of you, are having a lot of relationship conflicts, because when you're in a relationship for a long period of time, it's not unusual to outgrow your partner or to have your partner outgrow you. It's not unusual to come together and then go apart because we're all individuals and we have to do our own individual work. And then eventually, if there's still resonance, you come back together again. And it just happens like that. I think in this day and age where there's just so much coming up, so much shadow stuff coming up, you know, in the media, in maybe around you, in your community, in the whole entire world. I think that a lot of us are being triggered to do our own work and to do our own evolving in whatever way that is. So the thing I want to say about that is that when you're in a relationship and you're on a spiritual path, it's like you do your own spiritual work, and that's like spiritual development 101. And then then when you enter into a relationship, that's like spiritual development 201. And then if you have a whole family, like if you have children and all of that, that's kind of like relationship 301. So that that means that if you're in a relationship, or even if you're in an entire family, there's this extra stuff that you get to work with, this extra material within the connections that you have, that you really get to work with for your own personal growth and development, for your own spiritual development. So take a deep breath and just let that sink in. And I want to tell you a little story about my personal experience with this. Many of you know that I before I found human design, or right at the beginning of the time that I found human design, I was ending a relationship, or I was ending a 17-year marriage, a relationship, a 17-year marriage. We had gone like this, and we both realized that there was nothing more that we could do to kind of bring it back together, and neither of us was going to move forward in the way that we wanted to if we were together. So and then a couple years after that, I got together with my current husband. So at that time, I also had a coach. And during this time when I was still kind of a newlywed, I remember that when we started one of our coaching sessions, I was like at the end of my rope with this relationship, with this current marriage. And of course, we have this dynamic where sometimes things get brought to a head, and then with my husband's schedule, he goes away. So that was part of it. So I got on the phone with her and I said, listen, I think I got to leave. And she said, okay, well, that's a choice. That's a choice that you have. But just consider this one thing. If you leave, you will take yourself with you. And the person that you're with is obviously triggering some things within you that you can begin to use as feedback. You can begin to use as fuel for your own personal and spiritual development. So do you really want to leave now and try to start again with somebody else? Because that's it, in terms of spiritual development. It's like I felt like I had done all that I could do by myself, and partnership was the next thing for me. So of course, no partnership is perfect. My partnership certainly is not perfect. However, when she said that, it brought me right back to my central philosophy about life and relationships, and that is that it's all an inside job. So I stayed, and I did my own work inside of myself, and things got better. I was no longer resisting what was going on. I was healing through my own bitterness at feeling like at a lifetime of not having been recognized. I was learning I started to learn to recognize myself within the relationship, and I have my partner to mirror where I am with that. Because if I don't recognize myself, my partner doesn't recognize me. It's just, for me, it's just that simple. It may be a different experience for you, and I would love to know where you are with that. So here we are, almost 10 years later. Yeah, about 10 years later. It is about 10 years later. And, and we go through these these things like this, you know, and every time we go this way, I know that it will either come back or it won't. And for me, with bonding strategy as a 3-5 projector of bonds made and broken, I know, I feel that because I can break a bond at any time, I still I can just ride this out without feeling like I need to do anything about it. So anyway, that's my story about where I am and what my philosophy is about relationships and life in general. Everything that is seen out here is in some way a reflection of what's in here. And today I want to talk about how you kind of get to an empowering place around that, especially as you begin to work with relationships, your significant other or your child or your family as the feedback mechanism for your life. So we've talked in the last video about human design and how human design can help you with relationships. And I'll have to put a link down here for that. And what I want to add to what I talked about there is that human design really helps you understand the mechanics of how energy works with you. So that's one place where you can begin to understand and find more ease and less resistance as you align with your own design and as you do your own inner work to sort of ride through your life. I want to share several other tools, and then I want to take you through something or share with you an energy technique or a way that you can begin to work with your energy to create more harmony within yourself, to create space for the growth and evolution of your relationship. So human design, you know, my wheelhouse, love it. I have helped a lot of people with looking at their designs. I'll put another link down here of Harry and Megan's human design relationship chart, just so you can understand what I'm talking about. I didn't do a reading for them, not in person. I just looked at their charts as though I was doing a reading, and you can get an idea for the dynamics. Also, I'll put a link down below. I have a date scheduled for a course on relationships, the energy dynamics from the perspective of human design. And if you want to get in on that, I think is it July 22nd? I think that's when it is. I'll put it in there, and it's very, very affordable. And all of these videos that I'm doing on relationship are going to be put in your course portal, so that as prep material for that particular course. So it's all. I'll put a link. You can read about it, and of course, ask me any questions if you're interested in participating. So, moving on from human design, another thing that is really great for another tool that is really great for evolving yourself and evolving, and as a byproduct, your relationship usually evolves, is the Venus sequence in the gene keys. Now, if you understand Richard Rudd's, or if you're familiar with Richard Rudd's golden path of unlocking, first of all, your purpose through the activation sequence, you know that the Venus sequence comes after the activation sequence on the golden path. So if you're doing the activation sequence, what you have to look forward to in the Venus sequence is a whole lot of opportunity to open your heart, ground yourself in the gift and potentially the city expression of your design, of your energy, of your life themes, and to evolve yourself to the point where you can stay in a place of compassion for yourself and for other people, and be in that open-hearted place. So that's another tool, and a great tool that you can look up, you can study, and I follow someone that I'll put a link to her stuff as well, is Ho'oponopono. And that is really about reconciling yourself with the creator. And I'm sure maybe you're not familiar, but I would bet that a lot of you are familiar with the basic prayer sequence of "I'm sorry, please forgive me." Um, how does it go? "I love you, thank you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you." They get interchanged, but again, you can look that up on YouTube. You can take a course in it, but it's a lot of people see that prayer, that mantra, and they think, "Oh, well, I'm mad at that person. The last person I want to forget, want to, to forgive or to forgive me is that person over there." But that's the misunderstanding of Ho'oponopono. It's the reconciliation and the cleaning up, as Dr. Hugh Lin talks about when in his teachings of Ho'oponopono. It's cleaning up your own data, the corruption of your own data inside to get back to the 0 point of your connection with Creator. And from there, a new creation can be born. One of the things that I work with some of my clients on in terms of when they're, especially women, I don't know. I haven't had many men come to me about their relationships, but one of the things I work with women is when they're in a lot of relationship conflict. It's okay in my worldview uh, to break that energy on a regular basis. And one of the metaphors that I use, or one of the examples that I use in terms of energy, is sometimes I will divorce my husband when I go to bed. That version of my husband, I will do the Ho'oponopono, clear myself. And then in the morning, a lot of times, the person who is facing me that I divorced the night before is a whole different person, to the point sometimes where I'm looking around going, "Who are you? And what did you do with that awful guy that I was arguing with last night?" And I can't guarantee that that's going to happen for you, but what I can tell you is that when you start to do these inner practices, it's going to put you at peace. It's going to allow you to clear your field so that you have more grounding in your own power to create something new, to allow something new to arise. And when you clear that space around you energetically, it gives the other person an opportunity to step up. It gives if the person is still at some point in resonance with you, that person will shift energetically, or a new version, if you think about that in terms of quantum mechanics or whatever. A new version of that person is going to show up, or the relationship will dissolve. Either way, it's in your highest good. So we've talked about human design. We've talked about how the Venus sequence can help you. Ho'oponopono is a great tool. And the one that there's one more, and then I want to share the last one with you, and I'll take you through some energy work. This book is amazing. If you're looking for the real life practical steps to transform, well, it says transform your marriage, but you can do this with your mother-in-law, your child who's difficult, your coworker who is driving you crazy, your boss, whoever. This is Why Talking Is Not Enough: 8 Loving Actions That Will Transform Your Marriage. It'll transform any relationship that you have that's very difficult. I have used this. And what it's really about, and I'm probably going to do another video just on this to take you through some of the highlights of this. It's about being in spiritual partnership. And a lot of times when the New Age and popular culture talks about spiritual partnership, they're usually talking about the whole soulmate, connecting on that deep level with your soulmate and finding your soulmate that you never have an argument with, those kinds of things, or at least that's how popular culture sort of couches that, right? Um, Susan Page, who wrote this book, is talking about primarily spiritual partnership with yourself and how cultivating a deeper relationship with yourself, by in the midst of someone else that you have a relationship with, can transform the relationship. So it's very, very practical. It's there are experiments in it. I love that there are experiments in this book. Like every chapter has an experiment. And it is something that uh, is different from how do we communicate better together. And she says somewhere in here that the reason that communication alone is not very helpful in relationships is because somebody is always at a disadvantage. One person in the relationship is always going to be less of a communicator, less skilled in communication than the other. Let me take a drink. So great book. You can actually get it on Amazon. I got mine used. I gave my first copy away. So I got this one used on Amazon from a library or somewhere, and it's awesome. At some point, I'd love to do a group with this and really work the exercises because they are so powerful. And because there are experiments, I think that's great, especially if you're doing your own human design experiment. I love that approach of try it out, see how it goes, get the data from it, get the feedback from it, and then see where you are, then observe where you are. And I think that really is, in terms of relationships, something very, very practical that can reinforce your human design experiment of getting in this place of observing how it goes. And specifically with human design, it's strategy and authority, but observing how that goes. And I'd love to work with this book with the backdrop of your design. So putting that out there, if anybody wants to jump through the hoop and come forward and pull me out into that, I'd love that. So the last tool I have here that I want to share is something that I got from a woman that I've been following since 2005, and I've actually had several sessions with her. She's a channeler and a healer. Her name is Shelly Dressel. She does these wonderful guided, channeled meditations that are journeys into the all that is, and you have to. She's on YouTube now, so she does them twice a month. If you get on her channel. I'm not going to show you her technique, but I'm going to go through a quick version of what it's about. She has a recorded meditation or a recorded walkthrough of this technique that she developed, and I'm not going to steal her proprietary content. I will put a link to her $15 meditation that you can get to communicate better, to walk you through in detail how to communicate on a soul level with your significant other. Now, I'm going to tell you that I actually used this the last time my husband was at home. We had an argument that we have a negative feedback loop that we're working out, basically, in terms of our communication. And we had an argument and went to bed angry. And I read somewhere where it's okay to go to bed angry. So I got up the next morning, and the first thing I did was the soul communication. And I'll tell you, it really shifted some things in him and me. So the principle is, and you can kind of follow along in your body to kind of feel this. The principle is that you're going to connect through your heart, and I'm not doing it probably exactly as she does it. So if it's not feeling thorough, go and get her recording. And you're going to anchor in, drawing that line from your heart down to through your torso and your legs and feet into the earth so that you're grounded. And then you're going to bring that grounding up and up through your heart and out and up above your head. And this allows the energy of your higher self to, the opening for the energy of your higher self to move in and through you. And if this is a little bit too nebulous for you, one thing that you can do is to focus on the connection between your heart and the center of your brain to get that mind-heart resonance. So a lot of times what happens when there's conflict is that the monkey mind, the worrying lower mind, really goes into survival mode and and the ego and all of that starts to really get in the way of your own serenity. So you can put your hands on your heart and then focus on the center of your brain and just breathe into the center of the brain and into the heart. And then when you feel, like I always see it as like my pineal gland, my like a light or a flame in the center of my brain. And when I feel that that's clear, sometimes this is where Ho'oponopono can come in. Then you can focus on drawing a line of energy between your heart and your brain. This can move you into your higher mind, where you have access to your higher self, to a broader perspective. And when you're in that place, that's when you can invite the other person in, the energy and the soul essence of that person. Now, one thing to understand with this is that the other person's soul essence and physical essence has the choice not to come along or not to integrate the conversation and the communication that you're having. So this is a place where when you're really in that receptivity and that openness, you can sit back and just present the situation. And you'll know that you're in that place because it'll feel very neutral to you. And this is a place where you can receive an understanding from that person's energy and soul essence, an understanding of their perspective. And of course, it's a place where you can offer your perception as well. So this could be in words, but a lot of times it's in imagery, it's in energy, sometimes it's in a palpable feeling. And once the exchange is done, then you're free to come back into your body and just let it go. See what happens. If you're still in that place where you feel like you need to prove that you're right, then you haven't gotten to that place of your higher self and your higher mind. So that's the place where you have to work first. It's not that you're subjugating yourself to the other person. You know, that's all that black, white, right, wrong stuff that we're really evolving out of. So, you know, your primary intention with getting to this, with communicating with this other person's soul essence and energy, is to clear all of that away within yourself first, and then to open up to uh, the level at which you can connect to that other person, where there is not that right, wrong, black, white, I'm right, you're wrong, that kind of an energy. That's what you're getting above. So I want to invite you to play with that. Like I said, I'll put a link to Shelly's work in the in here as well, if you want to check out her audio on that, her meditation. And I'm going to check to see if there are any oh, thanks, Courtney. Hi, Jenny. Any comments? Would love to do a group on this book. Message me, please, and we'll get you on a list somewhere, and see if anybody else wants to do it. If you have friends that want to do it, I'd love to do that. So, is there anyone else that wants to share before we end here? Yeah, we're just over the 30-minute mark. I don't know how much my phone is going to handle in terms of battery. So thank you for being on. I'm really appreciative of Courtney, of you sending Jenny over. That was awesome. Please share this with anyone that you think would benefit. And if you're on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because this is where I'm putting some of this relationship stuff up. I am going to put up the thing on my course or my class that's going to happen on July 22nd. That's going to be more human design focused, so that you understand some of the basic mechanics of how energy flows between people and how you manage that within yourself. And I'll put all of the other links up too, because this is a time when the rubber meets the road. You know, this is the time when you can forge sacred partnership with yourself. And if you are in a difficult relationship, or if you're having relationship challenges, that means you have all that fuel for your own growth. So let's really do this, because every single one of us who makes those shifts and changes within ourselves elevates and creates and contributes to the shift on the planet. And there's no better way, let's put it this way: relationships are one of the most impactful ways that you can make change on the planet. When you heal your inner conflicts and allow that to overflow into your relationship, then you've really done something palpable, real, and powerful on the planet. So let's do this. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. I'll probably be back with another video at some point, at least on YouTube. Sometimes they don't always get over on Facebook, but if you're on Facebook and you haven't liked my page, you're invited to do that as well. All right. Take care, everyone, and have a great week.